The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast belong solely to those expressing them and do not necessarily reflect the OSIP Foundation Incorporated or any other group or individual. This podcast may contain dialogue or subject material that could be considered for mature audiences only. All aspects of How You Play the Game and the OSIP Foundation Incorporated are protected by copyright and other state and federal intellectual property laws. Unauthorized use without the express written consent of the OSIP Foundation Incorporated is strictly prohibited. If you're interested in sponsoring How You Play the Game, please email us at podcast@osipfoundation.org. Your sponsorship may be tax deductible. You know what I've always kind of wondered?
What's that?
And stop me if you've heard this before.
Okay.
If they're the Super Mario Brothers,
Right.
but their names are Mario and Luigi,
Okay.
does that mean their names are Mario and Luigi Mario on their birth certificates?
Yes.
It does mean that.
It's verified by the Mushroom King government
Okay.
and of Social Security and
Division of Weights and Measures, basically.
and Census Bureau.
Okay.
That their names are, in fact, Mario and Luigi Mario. Yes.
Okay. You think those birth certificates are notarized?
Oh, they have to be. I mean, who does that? Some. It's not Toad.
You know, it's someone who looks like Toad.
Someone who looks like Toad.
Yeah.
Right.
Like Keegan-Michael Key.
And he's got these little like glasses.
Yeah.
That are right around his nose, like
Yeah,
tiny ones.
Yeah,
That's
the tiny glasses.
the tiny glasses.
Yeah. Hold me closer, tiny glasses. Oh, wait, that's Tony Danza. Never mind. Well, speaking of Tony Danza and tiny glasses, hi, welcome to How You Play the Game. The segues are our specialty here at the official podcast of the OSIP Foundation Incorporated. Yours truly, Jack Furlong, with you as we talk to you about what's going on as far as the world of sportsmanship is concerned. This is the first episode of the month of August. Can you believe it's August already? Jeez, oh man.
No.
The year is 2025. As always, check us out at osipfoundation.org. If you would like to contact the show, please do so using the email address podcast@osipfoundation.org. On the good old socials, we're at osipfoundation.org/osipfoundation. Facebook.com/osipfoundation. I got to stop drinking before we do these podcasts. And then X and Instagram at OSIP Foundation, hashtag How You Play the Game. Across from me, as always, is the producer engineer of the show, Mr. Sean Ryan. Sean, hello. How are you?
I'm reading.
Uh-oh.
And it's my
Is that
brain,
why I see the fire in the background?
and it's smelling. Brain on fire.
Yeah, well, that's
Oh my gosh.
that gives you an opportunity to dance.
It's
into
hard
the
to
fire.
Yeah, it's hard
which,
to read.
which I know is illegal for us whites.
Well, we would burn our skin off if we
Right.
danced into the fire. That
Well,
would be pretty awful, actually.
Well, then we wouldn't be white, would we?
No.
So then we
That's-
could dance.
Okay.
All right.
So we have to burn ourselves in order to be able to dance well?
I think we better get a metric shit ton of lidocaine
Okay.
just to kind of numb it.
Yeah, we can
You
do
know?
that.
All
Sure.
right. I'll call my dealer right now. My lidocaine dealer.
Your Leeler?
My Leeler. Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of Leelers,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like it should be a segue into the South Park Game of Thrones Wiener song. Leeler, 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 Leeler. So, we got to talk about something.
Yes.
That's what we do on podcasts, right?
I think so.
All right. So today's story. And this, I actually, what's funny about this is that this happened within the last couple of weeks, but literally nobody told me about it until just recently. So I find myself a little blessed that I was able to avoid such negativity. But I was wrong because it found me. So
Congratulations.
thank you. It's nice to know that I am a lightning rod for this stuff.
Yeah.
So the story goes that here in the great state of New Jersey, down in Haddonfield, which is a lovely little town.
It is.
Great winery there, and great beer and whatnot.
Lots of good restaurants.
Yo, big time.
Right on Kings Highway.
So now we got to go.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm going next week.
Oh, well,
Haddonfield Bistro.
All right. Well, screw you. Yeah. Down in Haddonfield, the Little League tournaments are going on right now, where, in all the little municipalities and whatnot where they have, little league charters, the the 12-year, all the ages, but it's the 12-year-olds that are, the ones that get the most press, because, all those winners are the ones that go to the Little League World Series. And and the ones that end up being on ESPN and whatnot, like everyone else, still kind of goes to the Little League World Series. But if you think they end up on ESPN, you are wrong. So anyway, there was a game in Haddonfield where this kid, who I believe his name is Marco Rocco, which definitely sounds made up.
It does. Sounds like a Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, like a knockoff Ninja Turtle. Like
what am I thinking?
He's a Walmart Ninja Turtle.
I'm thinking of Rocksteady and what's the other one?
Bebop.
Bebop.
Yeah.
Marco Rocco and Rocksteady and Bebop.
And maybe Casey Jones.
Yeah.
So anyway, this kid basically was playing in a game, and he hit a home run. And essentially, when he hit this home run, he flipped his bat. And the bat flip was, like really pretty. I don't even know if the word flip is appropriate. Okay, like this was a like a launch. Okay.
Oh, so he threw his bat. Basically.
Yeah, like
into the air,
in a way where this is a metal bat that if it hits,
Little League, yeah,
if it hits somebody, death or dismemberment could occur. Or maybe someone goes, "Is that kid on steroids?" Like that's basically the best way I can describe this bat flip. A bat flip to me is, you kind of just toss it in a way where it's just like, okay, what does it do? Go 6 to 10 feet in the air? This thing went like 25 plus feet in the air, apparently. The umpire in this case ejected the kid. Okay. This caused a firestorm. The ejection comes with a 1-game suspension. So he's out for this game and the next game. The kid's dad, I think his name is Joe Rocco, is an attorney. He immediately sued and got this in front of a judge before their next game. So, like, expedited. And the judge overturned the suspension and allowed the kid to play in the game. They ended up losing like 10-0 in the fourth, in like 4 innings after that. So it was much ado about nothing. But for a week, this was a firestorm, apparently, here in New Jersey. And as I'm looking at this, as you're reading all of the, stuff that, that comes with it, where you're reading all the op-eds, they got major league players to chime in on it, which, by the way, for the record, Jazz Chisholm, shut up. I do not need to know what you think, which is you thought this was ridiculous about this. I don't like using you statements, but your baseball IQ has shown not to be the best anyway. So I don't, forgive me for being opinionated and edifying here, but as a Yankee fan, you're not the person who should be commenting on this. I'm sorry. Anyway, let me get off my soapbox. There's so many different parts of this. Like I kind of listed like 5 different questions just from the start, and that like scratches the surface of this whole thing. And then out of these 5 questions, you start looking at it and you're like, I don't know if I have a clear-cut answer. Like, okay, number 1, was the bat flip a violation of the rule? Number 2, did the umpire enforce the rule properly? Number 3, was it right to get this put in front of a judge and make it a good use of our judicial system? Number 4, Was the decision by the judge appropriate? Number 5, was karma properly instituted by having them lose their next game and now their season's done? There's a lot of different stuff, and you can break this down so many different ways. But it's worthy of discussion.
Right.
And there's also a lot of other connections here because we've discussed some of these things. I've written about some of this stuff on our blog. The legal and judicial world here in New Jersey gets involved in youth sports at times where it really makes a mockery of the governing bodies that are supposed to be overseeing athletic competition. So I mean, where do you want to start? Like, do we start with was this a violation of the rule?
Let's start at the end.
Okay, let's start at the end. Sure. Yeah.
Because I think that the fact that they lost, while there is sort of they lost 10-0, right, in 4 innings, there is sort of a sense of vindication there. However, the fact that karma, I mean, it is karmic in its nature, but I think that's irrelevant because when you look at, if you look at the fact of the matter is that everything before that is really what matters. It's like whether they win or lose, right? It's in my opinion, whether that should have been, whether the fact that the judge overturned it or that the fact that a case was made about this, that's the issue.
Yeah.
Right. That's the overarching issue.
And did he start the whole thing off by saying, I'm a man who's a judge?
I'm a man who's a judge, and I recommend e-trial.
They should have used e-trial for this. The Cinco e-trial.
You know what? And there was no I have no evidence.
Yeah.
Just, how do you win?
I knew I didn't start that fire.
But, when you look at all the other factors, like, was it the right call according to the rules? Did it in fact pose a danger to other people? Should it have been brought to court? Did the judge make the right decision? And like those are the issues. I think whether the team loses or wins afterwards that feels great from a vindication standpoint. Like, this is what you deserve. But in terms of what's right and wrong, I think if you go back to, like, what was the 4th question? Was the judge ruling
appropriate?
Correct?
Like,
appropriate.
Did he get it right?
He should have, honestly. Considering that these are our tax dollars, right?
Yeah.
That are being used for this, and it's a state. Was it county court?
It was Gloucester County. Yeah.
Okay. So, if I was a resident of Gloucester County, I'd be pretty pissed because like my tax dollars are being used to decide whether a call in a little league game should be upheld. That's so stupid.
Yeah.
So the fact that this trial even happened at all is indication of a failure, really, on like what really matters, and a failure to measure, put things in perspective, right? From a humanitarian point of view. That being said, I think the judge's ruling was, I disagree with it. I don't think it should have been dismissed. I don't think it should have been. If anything, the case should have been dismissed.
Right.
Like, the judge should say, this is a waste of time.
Yep.
This is just find another hobby.
Yeah.
Like, and what kind of a lawyer? First of all, okay, so this guy's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't he have work to do?
Yeah.
Like, doesn't he have other cases to solve?
Imagine if this guy's like a criminal defense attorney and there's a guy on death row right now that
and
he
then
represents.
His focus is on a fucking call and on a little
the
league
guy
game?
on death row is just like,
I'd like to live, and I don't really care about your son's Little League game.
Like, yeah, what kind of lawyer? Like, I would love to know what kind of lawyer this guy is. Like, if he's a criminal defense lawyer, or
Let's
like,
Google him right now.
I'm curious.
I'm gonna see if I can find this. All right, let's see here. Oh, it looks like he is a commercial real estate transactional and land use lawyer. I think.
Okay,
I
so
think
considering,
that's it. Hold on. Let's hold on. I'm gonna do a quick. If I'm bringing this up correctly, yeah.
so like commercial estates and everything.
Yeah. So apparently he knows. He's got enough. Yeah, and he's definitely yeah. Okay, I'm looking at his page on Campbell Rocco Law LLC. It says here Joseph D. Rocco is a commercial real estate transactional and land use lawyer. As a commercial real estate and land use attorney, Mr. Rocco previously was in-house counsel for O'Neill Properties Group in King of Prussia, PA. Prior to serving as in-house counsel for O'Neill Properties Group, Mr. Rocco was an attorney in the real estate department at Pepper Hamilton LLP in Philadelphia. Mr. Rocco has over 20 recommendations from client over 20. I play over 40 songs in my jazz quartet from clients, colleagues, and adversaries on LinkedIn. Mr. Rocco received his law degree from Villanova, holds a BS in accountancy from Villanova. He is admitted to practice law in New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. He's formerly the solicitor for the Planning Board of Monroe Township in Gloucester County. He has represented the following: a Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania-based developer in connection with a lease to Amazon for $150,000 Amazon distribution facility in Bristol Township, a Colorado-based industrial landlord in connection with a successful lease negotiation with Amazon. He's doing a lot of Amazon here, and that was in Colorado. A developer in connection with negotiating a redevelopment plan and redevelopment agreement, obtaining site plan approval, and finalizing a lease. And okay, I'm just going to go down here.
I mean, okay, so this guy has a pretty packed resume. I mean, this guy definitely. I mean, he sounds like he's got other shit to worry about.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't want it to come off like we're doxing him. But I think what we're trying to do is show that he's got other things to do.
When you're negotiating multi-million-dollar contracts and building sites and real estate transactions, you're worried about a little league call.
And if I may bring it back to Tim and Eric, it's free real estate.
Yeah.
So we've just used free real estate and the Cinco E trial in the same podcast.
We owe Tim and Eric so much money.
We really do.
Sorry, guys.
We will pay them in Pittsman's mustard.
So, but seriously, like, so that's the other thing about this is like, all right, you're worried about a call in Little League. I mean, there's this guy needs to get his priorities in order. Okay.
Now let me interrupt you real quick. What if the counter argument was my priority is my son?
Okay. Then he should say, instead of bringing it up with a judge, first of all, he's teaching his son that you can sue over anything.
That's fair.
Okay. And all right, yeah, you can if it's legitimate enough. But so he's sending, first of all, he's sending his son a pretty bad message.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, if he wanted to really teach his son a lesson, he would schedule, let's say, a little meeting with the umpire. Right. And say, hey, listen, let's all get together and talk this over.
Yeah.
After the fact, right? Yeah. Let the dust settle, and how about we learn about the game? Right. How about we learn about the rules? And if you still disagree with it after learning the rules and knowing why they're there, then you can do more research on it, right? But don't waste the taxpayers' money on a case. You're telling your son that it's okay to sue over anything that you disagree with which you disagree.
Thank you.
And you're also wasting people's money and time.
Yeah.
And the fact that the judge must have, I'm assuming the judge must have known this guy. I mean,
absolutely. It had to have been like some sort
under
of
the table.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know,
Yep.
there has to be some sort
Sean
of
was just intimating something with his hand for those of us
Right.
not watching us on the simulcast.
has to be something else going on there because the fact that the judge even agreed to listen to the case, I mean, I don't know. I think there's definitely something else going on there. But the I think that it was a mistake for the trial to even happen, for the
Right.
judge to even entertain it, and to sue over something so trivial, and to show your son that it's okay to sue over this is not okay. It's not okay.
It also brings you kind of lead into another point, which is like if your son is the priority, all right, what you can do here, there are a number of other things that could probably be done in order to show that your son is the priority. Number one is, like you said, to sit down with your son and say, let's talk about your actions, and like what's okay, what's not okay, how life isn't always fair, and just you could even make it a way to say, like, son, look, between you, me, and the lamppost, I don't think that what you did was like egregious. Like, did you kill a man? No. Okay. At no point did you impregnate anybody, kill somebody, end up
Or set
in
someone's
prison,
house on fire.
Set someone's house on fire.
I knew I didn't start that fire.
I know, right? Yeah. You didn't. You didn't end up in jail. You didn't end up in the hospital. Although somebody could have ended up in the hospital with that.
Right.
And there's your next point. Okay. But there's a reason that we have to be careful with these things. Okay. And you just and you use that to help your son grow and whatnot. And you know what you could even do then too is you could even like let's say you wanted to really like show him, you really want to go down this rabbit hole. I could even come up with a scenario where if you really felt so strongly that you had to take this to the next level, that there is a proper way to do it. This was not it. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like if you really felt so strongly that there was a grand injustice done here, okay, you could have, filed, if you really felt like you had to file something in court and whatnot, and literally go through the process that everyone else has to endure, not go through this, that quickly and calling in favors essentially.
Right.
Especially like, here's another thing. And I don't want to go down this road either, but I will. You're a commercial real estate lawyer, all right? You're not in front of a lot of judges, okay, by comparison.
Mm-hmm.
If you were a criminal defense attorney or a prosecutor, okay, now all of a sudden I can see you being in front of a lot of judges and having a lot more, connection to that world. This was not it. Okay. And what do you do? Like, okay, if you go through this the right way, do you, in 2 years, if the judge finds it differently, what ends up happening? Because then the response is, well, this is a time sensitive matter because it's for 12-year-olds. And that's but by the same token, no matter what route you go, if you start going down that route, do you get anywhere close to the value and the depth of what you just described, which is if your priority is your son, there are so many other ways that you could make this a teachable moment, that you can help your son learn and grow. Talking about the value of sportsmanship, the value of being careful when you play, all that kind of stuff.
Well, and I feel like I'm sure there was another governing body he could have spoke to about this, like rather than going right to trial. I'm sure there's like a little league association. So
here's essentially what I think happened, and we don't know this for complete sure, but if I bring up the thing here, hold on one second. Little League released this. Okay, they released an official statement regarding the decision on this tournament player. It says here, This is coming from South Williamsport on July 24th. Little League International respects and will uphold the Gloucester County Superior Court of New Jersey Chancery Division judge's decision to allow a Haddonfield, New Jersey Little League player to participate in the Little League Baseball New Jersey State Tournament and beyond following an ejection caused by unsportsmanlike conduct last week. While we continue to follow any orders governed by the court of law, Little League is extremely disappointed that time, energy, and attention were diverted away from our volunteers and communities who are creating positive experiences for all players and families throughout the international tournament. Trusted by parents and communities around the world, Little League holds the integrity of the game, respect for game officials, and sportsmanship of teams as core tenets of our program. We expect all players, coaches, and staff to uphold these values at all times. Little League maintains that tournament rules serve as the guide for any determination regarding conduct, of which falls distinctly under the discretion of the umpire. As all youth sports officiating continues to face challenges and abuse by parents and fans, and as we face a nationwide shortage of umpires and volunteers, it is more important than ever that we are supportive of Little League umpires, including the judgments and decisions they make at the local league level. While we understand and support the excitement and competition of our tournament, player safety and proper sportsmanship among all participants and fans must remain a focus. We respect the determination and judgment of the umpire who was present and are disappointed that a legal ruling contradicts the integrity of Little League International's value and rules. So the reason I say that is because I bet what he did was he saw this as, I would go up that ladder that you just suggested, but it's not getting anywhere. So I'm wondering if that's essentially what happened. Was he went to the tournament director on site, he went to the league president, he called Little League International, and all of them said no, 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 and he still said, well, screw this, I'm getting an injunction, and went that way,
And this sets a precedent because now, so now anyone can do this, right? I mean, it's if you you disagree with a call, you're going to waste taxpayers' money on a trial for on an arbitration.
Now let's look at a different aspect of this. Okay, the judge who overturned this in his decision essentially said, and I'm paraphrasing here, trying to get it down from the to the TLDR region for people like you, Sean, is to say, Little League has allowed this before and has promoted it. So therefore, what this kid did is not considered a violation of rules, and you can't be hypocritical here. And they actually used a clip from a recent Little League World Series where a kid hit a home run and bat flipped and whatnot, and and the umpire did not eject the kid in general. So now you want to slice the bologna real thin. What are we going to do? Bring out a tape measure so we measure the height of bat flips, from here. And if a bat flip goes above a certain height, it's an ejection. Not happening, But that was what the judge used in his ruling to say that this is inconsistent with the precedent that has already been set. Therefore, we can't. What has occurred here is not appropriate. That being said, though, if you look at the other side, all right, in the Little League rule book, there is nothing that specifically says no bat flips, but there's plenty that says no horseplay, no unsportsmanlike conduct, etc. And Little League has also come out and basically said, no, we support the umpire here. The umpire made a decision, and we need to respect the decision of our officials, not just in sports, but in life. We can disagree with it, and we're supposed to have the wherewithal to be able to get around this if there is a serious problem, but that's kind of the basis of our society. And unfortunately, I think what has happened, especially in a post-COVID world, is that our society has become so fractured in that you have to have gray areas in some of this stuff, because there's always going to be exceptions to rules, but there's also always going to be people who come out so harshly and so defiantly against anyone who does not share their opinion. You know, so that's more of a societal problem than it is, you know, a micro problem in this, you know, in this instance.
So if I may draw a parallel,
Sure.
I mean, you know, a lot of these situations are case by case,
Right.
and it's up to the discretion of the umpire
Right.
what is deemed as unsportsmanlike or horseplay.
Yep.
Right. So there's context involved. I mean, what happened in the Little League World Series that you mentioned could have been contextual. Like maybe it was like a tight game, and this was the home run that, you know,
Won the game kind of a
won
thing,
the
yeah.
game. And like, you know, you're not going to eject someone after they hit a win. I mean, you can, I guess, but
Yeah.
depending on the circumstances, you know, but if you look at speeding tickets, look
Right.
at running red lights. I mean, I can't tell you. I live right off Route 1. I can't tell you how busy Route 1 is and how many people run through yellow and red lights. Sarah got a ticket when she first moved here for running a yellow light.
Wow.
A yellow light. It wasn't even red. It just turned yellow, and she was in the intersection, and she was pulled over, and I had to go with her to court to fight it. And you meet with the clerk, and then they try to get it down, and
Yeah.
you do you plead it guilty, and then you reduce the fine, right?
Right.
It was still like $400.
Yeah. They just want the money at that point.
Right. So, but then, you know, I see people running red lights all the time, and the cops are not pulling them over.
Right.
So it's like, it's
There's the inconsistency.
it's inconsistent.
the desire is the money.
No, right. It's right. And that's the context. That's
Right.
the desire. And if you're, you know, there is some profiling involved. I mean, to some extent, you know, Sarah's a woman, last I checked. So
I knew you were an amateur gynecologist.
so, but like, you know, and I'm not saying all police do this, but they prey on people who don't.
The personality of a police officer is just as unique as the personality of a baseball umpire.
Right.
In that they each have different interpretations of the guidelines.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I have a buddy who's a retired cop who always said, "Look, if you don't give me problems, I'm not going to give you problems."
Right.
You know, he's just like, he goes, anytime, like people would, he'd pull people over, he'd go talk to them, and if they were nice, kind, and respectful, 99% of the time, it's please be careful and go on your way.
Right.
You know, but if they were a jerk to him, guess what? You're getting a ticket.
Yep.
You know, that kind of a thing.
And that's a great way to operate because it promotes good manners.
Yep.
And it promotes, you know, a positive experience. I mean,
Right.
Every time I've been pulled over by a police officer, which is 2 or 3 times I've been pulled over, and usually it's because I'm speeding.
Right.
I'll say, you know, first of all, I'll make sure I have everything out. I don't make any sudden movements.
Yep.
Both hands are on the wheel, the window's down. I mean, legally, you don't have to say anything. You
Right.
just show them the license and you move on. But I mean, I make an effort to be cordial, and I say, you know, I apologize. You know, I didn't realize how heavy my foot got on the pedal. I drive here all the time. I wasn't paying attention. I admit that. Most of the time, you get out of it.
Yeah.
If you know how to talk to, you know,
Right.
and 2 out of those 4 times, I have not gotten tickets
Right.
because I knew how to talk to them.
Right.
You say, you apologize, say, look, I'm sorry to have had you come get me. I just didn't realize my foot was heavy, and it happens. I'm sorry.
Right.
And he's like, nope, don't worry about it. Just next time, be careful and keep an eye on the speed. And, you know, if I see you do it again,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
then, you know, we have a different conversation. But
Right.
for now, just be on your way, be careful. And, you know,
And they have records of all that too. So like they can pull up your record and just be like, The last time this guy got pulled over, and he was what, officially warned 12 years ago. That's it. This is this is 12 years. Have a nice day, sir. You
Right.
know?
Right. So, now if you pull over and you're shaking and you're nervous and you're looking around and you're frantically trying to get your stuff out of the glove compartment and you're sweating and
Yeah.
like,
Well, even in that type of scenario, if you have the ability to be vulnerable, sometimes that helps too. You can literally say, "I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm just always nervous around police officers."
But
Do you have anything to hide? No, it's just that authority
Right.
scares me. I have an anxiety thing.
of course, and that works sometimes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because being in a position of authority, and again, I'm not a police officer or an umpire.
Right.
I don't know, but it's as a police officer, you're putting your life on the line
Right.
every day. You never know what's going to happen, and you are in the unfortunate position where profiling is part of your job. Like
Right.
based on statistics, based on prior experiences. So unfortunately, if you see someone acting like that, you have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Right. Yeah. If you may not be a thug, but if you're dressed like a thug, if you're wearing a thug's uniform
and acting like one,
right? Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be questioned.
And not to equate the two, because clearly what police officers and other people in similar professions do obviously is it takes a much more important role here. But a lot of that's true in sports officials as well too, in that you don't know what you're going to get when you get to the game that day. Mm-hmm. People are think that they can abuse you or anything like that. Sometimes you profile in the sense of, I can see that this guy's going to be a problem, like he's or whatever the case may be. So but there are similarities that I can draw there.
I'm a college professor, and
Right.
I know who's going to fail even before I take my class. Like,
exactly.
Like it's not like it's just. No, not know who's going to fail. 90% of the time I'm right though. Like,
Yeah.
I just in speaking with them for the first 5 minutes, like you can tell like
Right.
who cares, who wants to be there, and who's wasting your time.
Right.
Like, and as a sports official, you've been around the block enough where you can read people's attitudes and you can read personalities, and you could, as part of the old preventative officiating tactic that you like to use,
Yep.
you might become defensive if someone gets a little too aggressive, or
Right.
you could always tell by how someone celebrates.
Right.
Yeah, like if someone is flipping a bat, what else are they capable of?
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
really, you don't want to take it that far, but you kind of have to think ahead. Because you never know. Because if that umpire hadn't said anything, what if later in the game, I don't know how far in the game this was, but what if later in the game, his over emphatic celebration was an indicator of something else that could have happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And to kind of go back to the hypocrisy thing for a second, you talk about how sometimes the police officers are only after the money, kind of a thing. Like there's an element of that in sports as well, in that let's say in the example I gave in the Little League World Series that they used in the judge's decision,
Mm-hmm.
the tacit argument is that, well, I don't really feel like ejecting a player over something like that while I'm on TV, in this type of a major tournament. But the fact of the matter is that the nature of the game, okay, the fact that this is on television, 12-year-olds playing on television versus a local New Jersey preliminary round, doesn't change the fact that the act may have been similar, may have been the same. The crime was the same potentially. However, it's, do I want the optics of trying to do I want to be right or do I want to be popular, kind of a thing,
Right.
And
the other thing too is to think of, like, I don't know anything about Marco Rocco or his proclivities or his personality,
At least
but
12, so we're not supposed to know because
right. I mean, yeah, but like, but I mean, like the people around him obviously know how he plays, and I'm sure he's good at what he does to a certain extent. But like, it begs the question: were there priors? Like,
Yeah.
was he ejected before for something? Yeah, that's another thing you have to consider. Like, is this an isolated incident? Like if he had been ejected before for like pushing or shoving or starting a fight or something like that, then well, yeah, okay, this is. I mean, it's more merited
Yeah.
because again, I know you're supposed to divorce the two instances and just focus on the nature of the bat flip,
but you can't.
we
You-
don't
you-
live in a
refusing.
vacuum. We
No.
don't live in a vacuum.
I mean,
So
that's the old Aaron Boone argument in that, Aaron Boone rides umpires so badly, he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt from umpires.
right.
Okay, it's
Right.
that and he doesn't, and no matter how often he says to the media, like, I think our umpires are great. No, guess what? You say stuff to these guys in ways that it's inappropriate, and you end up losing certain arguments that you could have otherwise won.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so it's the same thing here.
Yeah.
Now there's another side of it that I want to introduce too, because I kind of pointed to this in a different article that I discussed at least a year or two ago. In that, what about the umpire in general? What do we know about this umpire? Well, we don't know anything about this umpire, but from my experiences with this kind of stuff, okay, let's start with the idea that we do have a shortage of umpires. Okay, so there is a possibility that perhaps this umpire, was not, at the quote unquote top of his class. All right. And that's not a reason to say, well, then he shouldn't have been on the game. No, that's a reason to say, geez, we're really short on umpires. Well, why is that the case? Well, it's because guys don't want to do this. Okay. I mean, I have stopped doing games like that myself. I'm a 20-year veteran. And I say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm still doing high school and middle school, but this stuff is horrendous because of the treatment of the adults and whatnot.
Right.
So I'm looking at this and saying, is it possible that this guy should not have been on this game? I'm sure it's possible. He could have been the greatest umpire in the greater Haddonfield area, or he could have been some guy in his first year who got stuck with this assignment because no one else wanted it. And he thought he was making the judgment he was supposed to make. And now what is he experiencing? Is he never going to umpire again? Is his career tarnished over this? It's like it's stupid stuff like that. Did he make the right call? I mean, there's no right or wrong answer on this, but we can probably say that he did, or you can at least understand, his justification for making the call. Someone I think asked me, like, have you ever done this, Jack? And I'll say the best thing I can tell you about this. Okay, I have never worked a tournament game, a playoff game, where something like, actually, I take that back. I have done stuff like this, and let me tell you a couple of stories. Okay, in a regular season game once, I had a kid who threw the bat. It wasn't like a bat flip celebration, but like he hit a ground ball, and the bat, as he threw it, came back violently and hit both the catcher and me. All right, so play. Let the play happen. Kid is. I think he ended up being on first base. I can't remember exactly what happened with the play, but I called time. I went up to the kid. The coach was right there, and I said, "Look, I'm going to need you to be more careful with the bat. You just threw the bat. It hit the catcher and me. Please, please, please be more careful with the bat. Just drop it, okay?" Okay. Comes up to bat next time. Does the exact same thing. So I go up to the kid again, coach right there, and I say, "This is your final warning. If you do this again, you will be out, and I will eject you." "Okay, thanks, Blue." Comes up again. Does it again. I come out time. This batter is out, and he's ejected. That's the third time you did that. I gave you 2 warnings. And everyone was kind of like, huh, okay. Like you didn't see this coming? Like what?
Yeah.
Like now, thankfully, no one was like giving me shit about it. But I was, and the league president came up to me after and says, okay, talk to me about this. And I said, look, I don't know the kid. I don't know if the kid deserves, an additional suspension because of this. Okay, you do whatever you feel is right. I'm not going to sit here and demand a pound of flesh. Okay, all I'm going to report to you is that this was the third time he did it in the game in 3 consecutive at-bats. I gave him 2 warnings. Okay, and he still did it. Okay, if you tell me you're not going to suspend him additionally, I'm not losing sleep. All right. But if you do, that's fine too. It's up to you really, because but I'm just telling you this is what happened. And the league president was very respectful. And he said, he appreciated it. I said, okay, cool. Like that I understood. There was another story where this was a playoff game, and I was on the bases for this game. The team that was at bat was actually being coached by my uncle. So I'm not even sure why I'm on the game. But
nepotism.
Yeah, exactly. But it's also like an in-house game, so it's not so it's not like you have to answer to anybody but the league internally. So this kid on his team who has a bad attitude, whose brothers have bad attitudes, and whose father has a bad attitude.
Oh, great!
All right, he strikes out looking. He walks away and he throws the bat down in disgust, like hurls it down. And I said, pick up the bat, walk in there, and don't throw it again. So he picks up the bat, he walks in the dugout, and he hurls it again in the dugout. So I toss him. So then the dad, who can't believe this, grabs the kid, almost his own kid, by like the throat, and pushes him up against the dugout and says, "Are you stupid? They're looking to eject you." So I ejected the dad. And the dad says, "What did I do? What did I do?" I said, "What are you, high? I know what you did. Everyone heard what you said." My uncle comes over and says, "This is a playoff game. You can't be tossing people from a playoff game." And I was like, "I don't care if it's the 7th game of the World Series. If he does that, he's done."
Right.
Okay? Like that, like he disobeyed a direct order from an official. Not rocket science.
Right. Yeah.
So I, it's just sad that, we live in these times where people think that's an official.
I mean, grabbing your son by the neck and
yeah,
that's like abuse.
It is. It is.
An ejection is the least of his concerns at that point. I mean, if enough people saw it, you'd be calling CPA on his ass.
And guess what? Everyone was so scared of him that nobody did. The most that the league did was they suspended him 2 additional games.
I would have called the police.
I actually had another dad approach me in the parking lot to discuss it, and I was like, "I'm not discussing it. It doesn't involve your kid." And he called me some names, so I reported him, and he got a game suspension. He wasn't even ejected. But at least that dad had the wherewithal to come up to me afterwards and apologize. Like after he was suspended. And I'm like, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, you're just sorry you got suspended.
Right. Right.
I guess the last thing that I'll say on this, too, at least for the time being, is that the argument that I see a lot with this is that the kid was imitating what he saw on television. And that kind of goes back to the whole thing with Jazz Chisholm basically saying, "Oh, this is ridiculous. Let the kids have fun, blah, 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 blah." And to me, I look at this and I go, you can't stop what's on television, but you can, as a parent, tell your kid, please do not imitate them. There are parts that you can imitate. There are parts where you can pretend to be them. And there are times when you can pretend to be them. And then there are other times you can't. Like for the same reason that if you see a movie or a TV show or a video game that depicts violence or sex or anything like that, there's a growing up process where you're like, okay, I saw that, but that doesn't mean that I can do that.
Right.
If I see somebody get raped on a TV show, that doesn't mean that must be okay. I'm going to go out and rape someone. No,
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
No.
And I know that those were, a lot of arguments that were made over the past couple of decades with violent video games and stuff like that and whatnot. And I get it. But let's turn it towards sports now. Okay, the professionals that you see on television or any sport that you see on television, okay, is does have an element of entertainment to it.
Sure.
And when they are adults, they are governed differently. Okay, it's like when an adult uses a curse word. Okay, guess what? They're adults. They can make that decision and do that if they feel necessary. You're a child. Okay, you don't have the same privileges.
Right.
So the fact of the matter is, if your priority is your son, use this as an opportunity to say, you need to understand that you cannot always emulate what you see. You can't always emulate or imitate the people who you put on a pedestal or who might be one of your heroes.
Yeah.
And then the footnote to that is to tell our heroes, like, maybe you guys need to be better.
Yeah.
Because and to look at the philosophy of, if we were smart enough to pick the right heroes and role models, maybe we'd be smart enough to realize we shouldn't have heroes and role models, because they are, or they should be redefined in a way where we realize they are imperfect. They're human. They're flawed humans like the rest of us, and we can admire parts of them without worshiping them.
Right.
It's always a blow to the ego when a person that we admire, that we put on a pedestal, reveals a flaw.
Yeah.
And we forget that they are human.
Right.
So it's the same thing here. It's take the opportunity to say to your kid, just because someone does this on TV doesn't mean that it's right. And that doesn't mean that you should be doing it.
Right.
Okay? Just because someone that you see in high school is drinking alcohol illegally and you think it's cool because that the cool kid is doing it, doesn't mean that it's appropriate for you to do it. That kind of a thing.
Right.
So it's the same age-old argument. We always go back to the emulation of this stuff. So I feel like that's kind of the crux of it. We've looked at so many different parts of this, and we have a general consensus on the situation as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the kid should not have done it. The umpire probably did the right thing. This should not have gone up the chain to a county judge.
Right.
And now it's in our rearview mirror.
Right.
But the fact that we had to spend an episode talking about this.
Yeah. Hopefully it does, and hopefully it doesn't set a precedent. I mean,
Right.
This is obviously copycat, right? There's going to be other situations like this. I guarantee this is going to happen again.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, just look at the Facebook comments on when articles about this are posted. Like everyone and their mother has to share an opinion, and it goes back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And and they wonder why we drink.
Right.
They wonder why we, shoot heroin. Not because we see the cool kids do it, it's because we have to deal with this crap.
Yeah, that's the reason why we do it.
Kids, don't do heroin. Okay.
Don't do it. No, let us do it.
Right. Let Sean do it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I am too fat to be on heroin. Okay.
Maybe it'll help you.
I mean, it's certainly, it's more expensive than Zepbound. That's the thing.
Listen, if Joe Rocco has a friend who's a judge and can get this thing going, you can have a friend who's a dealer and can get you something on the cheap. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be a good Tim and Eric thing. Joe Rocco has a friend who's a judge, and he recommends suing everyone.
Oh man, this is good.
Yeah, no, this is good. This is really
Yeah.
good. So, yeah, I hope that everyone kind of keeps the conversation going on this one, or doesn't keep the conversation going on it, because we shouldn't have had to talk about it in the first place. But
Right.
but think about it. I mean, this is another reason why we have to exist as an organization. So. Sean, thank you. Enjoy the editing of all of this.
Oh boy.
Yeah, exactly, right. And don't forget, everyone, to check us out at osipfoundation.org, podcast at osipfoundation.org, facebook.com/osipfoundation, X and Instagram at osipfoundation, hashtag how you play the game. We'll talk to everyone in just a few short weeks. Hopefully the heat breaks by then. And until then, treat each other with respect.
How You Play the Game is a production of the OSIP Foundation, Incorporated. The producer-engineer of this episode is Sean Ryan. Music by Soundspring Studio. The executive producer of How You Play the Game is Jack Furlong. For more information, visit osipfoundation.org.